Rice is best.
Nigerian jollof is the best jollof.
Every time they say ours is better.
So which do you prefer? Ghanaian jollof or Nigerian jollof? Whose music is better? Nigerian Afrobeats or Ghanaian music?
There is no competition.
How about football? Is it the Black Stars of Ghana or the Super Eagles of Nigeria? Which is the better team? If there's a rivalry you're going to hear much more than once in your entire lifetime, is the Nigeria versus Ghana rivalry. It runs deep, but beyond the food, music, art, and playful banters, is there history behind it? I was totally undecided about what story to bring until just about a week ago, while I was walking to the ever-bustling streets of Lagos. With unexplainable glee, my eyes met with a few pattern bags. Some blue, some red, but the history is one complex matrix that can never leave me. So, speaking of history, it was the 17th of January 1983, and Nigeria was about to expel almost 2 million Ghanaians from its territory, while giving them barely 2 weeks to find their way out. So at this point, I guess the only plausible question is why? We cannot explain this chaotic exodus without understanding the undertones behind this, and this exactly is the reason for the story. Nigeria's oil boom in the 1970s transformed the country in many ways. I have a full video on the oil boom and the influence of Shell Petroleum Development Company, so please check it out for more details on this. Back to the oil boom. The influx of oil money changed Nigeria in many ways. We struck oil quite early, and we were lucky to have oil prices increase worldwide. We were in the decade of prosperity and fruitfulness, and soon earned the deserved title of being giants of Africa. And this meant just one thing: an improved standard of living. We soon became, in a positive way, the envy of other countries in Africa. This economic boom attracted people from several neighboring areas across the region, and Ghanaians were one of them. While Nigeria was experiencing an economic boom, Ghanaians were experiencing what we can describe as an exact opposite. It was a crippling economic crisis for them, and the domino effect was an influx of Ghanaian migrants, as well as migrants from other parts of Africa, both skilled and unskilled workers, into Nigeria. I guess the next question to ask is, how come it was very easy to travel between Ghana and Nigeria during this period? So here is your answer. You see, beyond being neighbors, we shared very similar ideals and administrative heritage from the colonial era. So all of this, coupled with very weak immigration and border policies, made movements between both countries quite seamless. But you see, as expected, corruption and mismanagement was Nigeria's undoing. The tides began to turn, slowly but surely, because the oil boom did not last for so long, as global oil prices dwindled, and this affected Nigeria, who was already building an unhealthy relationship with oil. This shift in tide would eventually be the most important factor that changed the way we related and viewed our Ghanaian neighbors for life. The fall from grace to grass, as we can evidently see, was a Nigerian problem. But thanks to politicians majorly, it soon became a Ghanaian one. They were easy scapegoats, and they were soon accused of stealing jobs and contributing to crime. And words like aliens soon began to be used to derogatively refer to Ghanaians, even as many of our politicians began to promise to take the country back for Nigerians in their manifestos, even as the 1983 general elections drew near. Quite expectedly, the Nigerian air soon began to be polluted with anti-immigration sentiments, and it didn't take long to spiral into physical actions. So here comes the shocking announcement. The Shagari-led government, unprovoked, issued a statement ordering all undocumented foreign nationals in Nigeria to leave the country within 2 weeks. The exception, a few skilled workers and citizens of some specific countries. So I think you might say, Pistis, it wasn't really about the Ghanaians. You just mentioned that, all undocumented foreign nationals were ordered to leave. Yeah, you're right. But remember, I also talked about the fact that, Ghana was experiencing an economic crisis during this period. So majority of the foreign nationals in the country as at then were actually Ghanaians. So the economic crisis had pushed them into Nigeria, and so the order to leave Nigeria affected them majorly. So here is the thing again, there are some claims that suggest that, just as I have earlier mentioned, that the corruption-ravaged government of President Shehu Shagari ordered the deportation to simply divert the attention of the Nigerian people from its shenanigans since the elections were near. But you see, playing politics with sensitive issues like this can be everything but good, because expectedly, panic erupted. Millions of Ghanaians began scrambling to leave the country, and hostilities began to spread because rumors already had it that the government had given locals and the police the go-ahead to beat any illegal Ghanaian in Nigeria by the end of January 31st. So this was where the plastic checkered bags came in. These bags, which later earned the infamous Ghana Must Go moniker, became the face and the reflection of the heavy hearts of millions of almost hopeless people. Many of the Ghanaians in Nigeria scrambled to sell all that they could and fit the rest into their newfound bags. The fear of death overpowered every other will and pursuit, and the borders became quickly crammed as millions trooped out of the country through every possible exit they could find. Some accounts have it that a number of Ghanaians never even made it out of the country, as some of them died in stampedes. I am sure that some of my viewers who are quite vast with history are saying, "Pistis, we know that this was not the first." So yeah, let me break it to everyone. The Ghana Must Go mantra was not the first of politically motivated exodus of migrants in Africa, or should I say West Africa, because in November 1969, Kofi Abrefa Busia, so I hope I did not murder that name, the Prime Minister of Ghana, made a similar demand for the expulsion of Nigerian migrants for what seemed to be xenophobic in nature, and some will also say economic reasons. And this is why some people, which I wholeheartedly disagree with, are of the viewpoint that the Ghana Must Go occurrence was simply a deserved clapback from Nigeria. So, as if the initial expulsion of Ghanaians was not enough, in 1984, General Muhammad Buhari also presided over another forced expulsion of up to 700,000 foreign nationals in Nigeria. This time around, it was not really about the Ghanaian, as it included even those with resident permits. You see, from my study of the Ghana Must Go and the Nigeria Must Go incidences in both countries, I find it easy to see that for the most part of it, picking a side is the easiest thing to do. But what we fail to realize is that these tit-for-tat actions, if we can classify this as that, are simply cheap sentiments politicians used to justify their corruption, mismanagement, incompetence, and encouragement of xenophobic activities back in the day. So here are my final thoughts on this subject matter. As some migrants continue to use the Ghana Must Go bag, both literally and figuratively, in the hope of finding their promised land, we must let this bag remind us that we have just one identity and we are one race. So let us make this bag stand out as a reminder of how well it would be for us as Africans to stick together and find solutions to our common problems. Much more, let it be a reminder that we can all dare to dream in every place and in every land, with no fear of prejudice or discrimination. I think I am finally done. Scratch that. So which is better, Nigerian jollof or Ghanaian jollof? Nigerian jollof, absolutely. Catch you again soon.